episode 8 of Sister Moms. The name of this episode is Sis, Take Off Your Cape. So, first, before we start, Shelly, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I have me a new therapist.
Yay.
Yes, I love my last therapist as well, but this one, she's different. She's specifically for me for this stage and season of my life. And she keeps it 100. And so I need that. I don't need the runaround. I don't do the beat around the bush. Let's just talk so we can move forward. And she does just that. And so I'm real proud of myself for even advocating to say, I need this, and I did it. So that's where I'm at.
Great job, girl.
How about you, Janisha?
Yo, I have amazing mom win, which is Imani turned 27 months on the 22nd, and I am officially done breastfeeding.
Party. You need a party.
Like legit. Whenever I told somebody, they like, why you saying it like it's not something we're supposed to be celebrating? Like, when we going out? So it's been a journey. Now I can drink my Shakeology, amongst other things. What about you, Britt? How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm trying to get on your level and, stop nursing, hopefully soon in the very near future. But yeah, I'm doing really well.
Good. Okay. So that's a new voice that none of you have heard before. I want to introduce you all to Brittney Jefferson. Brittney Jefferson is a friend of mine that I met back in college. We both went to UNLV in Las Vegas, and we took a hip hop dance class together. Although Britt is, I guess, shy, is what people might say. Well, she wasn't very shy that day. And she came up to me and was like, she didn't say this, but her perspective was, that's going to be my friend. And so we became friends. And it's been like over 10 years, I can't count, but over 10 years that we've been friends. So another thing is those who heard a couple episodes ago, I talked about a book, Character is Beauty. Brittany is a member of my Healing for My Heels ministry and also a co-author of the book. Not only is she a co-author, but she actually was inspired to even do the book. So thanks to Britt, Character is Beauty was birthed. And she actually wrote that introductory section about how the book came about. But enough about my connection with Brittany. So Brittney Jefferson is an author, a wife, a mother, and a licensed clinical social worker. So for those, since we're on Sister Moms podcast, starting out with mom questions. So Brittney, how many children do you have?
I have 5, 4 boys and 1 daughter.
And how old are these 5 children?
18, 9, 8, 3, and 1.
Okay, girl, you got a whole basketball team over there.
Yeah.
So one of the questions Shelly and I had thought about was like, let's ask her, were any of your children planned?
Absolutely not. Not one. Not one was planned. They kept popping up in my life.
So moms, I know y'all know all about that. These children come out of nowhere. They don't care what's going on in your world. They like, we here. We here. Mm-hmm. Here. So, so the reason we invited Brittany on today is it stemmed from our last episode. Our last episode was Sis, You Need Help. And we talked about, women being comfortable with asking for help. And one of the ways you could get help is through therapy. Sometimes that's what you need. Shelly and I are both big advocates for therapy. We've both had, at this point, multiple therapists. I had one before while I was pregnant in order to try to avoid postpartum depression. I had a different one at the end of my pregnancy and after, and then I had one later, more dealing with non-mom type stuff. But big advocate for therapy. I attribute a big part of it to how I got to where I am today. So yeah, we're not just choosing random people. This is our heart. Like, we know people need it, and we're excited to have an expert here to have this conversation with us. So Shelly's going to get started on the interview of Miss Brittney Jefferson.
Yes, welcome, Brittany. Oh my gosh, I've heard about you. I see you every morning on our morning workouts, our virtual workouts, and I'm asking Janisha, like, did I meet her? But now I get to know you even more. Like, I'm so excited. And so Janisha talked a little bit about our last episode is like advocating and encouraging for women to get the help that they need. And so my first question to you, Brittany, is why do you believe women struggle asking for help?
I think there's just a stigma in general with postpartum depression, perinatal depression. It's not something that we talk about. A lot of moms don't share their stories. They just kind of go through it. And then a lot of the times we don't even realize, right, as women who are pregnant or just had a baby, that we're even depressed. We just think it's solely us and our life circumstances and the situations going on that's causing us to feel the way we're feeling. When in actuality, it's the hormones and the chemical imbalances that the hormones bring into the brain.
That's so true. Like I remember saying those words like, well, duh, I'm tired because I just had a baby. Duh, I'm tired because now I'm going to work. And so every symptom of postpartum, I had a way to explain it away.
Yes.
I have a husband. Like I'm not a single mom. I don't need help. You know, you keep, especially you talk about that married piece. It's like, oh, I just know I'm going to have all the help in the world. That doesn't stop the chemical imbalance from happening, you know? And so it's so important to be educated. So my next question is about that stigma. How does the stigma of therapy in the Black community impact the likelihood of women or moms from getting help or seeking therapy in specific?
So again, one, we don't talk about it, but then two, we view the mental health that we do talk about, right? We view it as the people that are supposedly crazy, right? Or the extreme. So, the people that are attempting to commit suicide or killing their babies or, just doing extreme acts. And so we don't view postpartum or the symptoms that we go through after having babies as a mental illness, when in actuality it is. It's a mental illness. There's an imbalance going on in the body and your body is trying to find ways to adjust. The other thing is a lot of the times in the Black community, we say, well, we'll pray it away, right? Like we'll pray this away. But even in the Bible, he tells us sometimes you seek other counsel, right? So your counsel might not just be the church, or it might not just be through prayer. It might be like, no, let me bring you a person, right? Let me bring you a therapist or a mentor or friend that has been through this, that can tell you what got them through it. And so a part of that stigma, I'll go back through it again, a part of that stigma is just feeling like we can pray it away, mental illness not being widely discussed in our communities, lack of education, right, about postpartum depression and just depression in general or mental illness in general. So these are the reasons why.
Well, I mean, I feel like we're Black, we're women, so we're sitting here nodding our heads like, yes, yes. So my next question, the weight of being a woman, that's kind of like the theme of this segment. There's this crazy expectation that women are super women. Although society has shifted to where women work, there wasn't anything ever taken off of our plate when we decided, hey, we want to go to work. We're still moms, we still work, we still do so much. So how do you think this, in addition, has impacted the need for therapy?
So are you asking like in working and being a mom and all these other titles that we hold?
Yeah.
I think it makes it that much more of a need, right? Like you just need somewhere to debrief, somewhere to be able to go to breathe, where it's solely about you, right? A non-judgment zone. So I think because we pick up all these extra roles, right, and are still required to do certain roles in excellence, we need therapy even more. And what the insight that therapy can bring to the subject that you're talking about is maybe it doesn't look the way you saw it done when you were growing up, right? So like my mom worked, but my mom was a teacher. And so in the summer times, my mom was off. I'm not off in the summertime. So the time that I have with my children or the way I'm mothering in the time is going to look completely different than what I saw her do. And so these are things that therapy can help with. It will bring things into perspective, right? And help you find harmony for your life and not what works for someone diagnosis.
Okay. That's good. I mean, you have more roles. You need more help for yourself, not just I need someone to wash the dishes. I need someone to help me with what's going on in my head, what's going on in my
Yeah.
heart. So it's not just taking off the weight of the tangible things. Yeah, there's emotional weight, there's mental weight that also comes with those titles. So I really appreciate you kind of hashing that out for someone like me who is like, I don't need help, I'm good.
Right.
I'm gonna hand the next question or next segment over back to Janisha.
So before I move on, one thing that stuck with me was women going to therapy to have some time for it, just to be about themselves, right? Because as moms, now you become selfless, right? It's not about me anymore. It doesn't matter. My life doesn't matter. Everything is about my child. That's what's most important. But I remember early on that learning that a healthy mom is a healthy woman first. You can't be a healthy mom unless you're healthy yourself. So just recognizing that you have to look at yourself. You do have to take care of your kids, but you have to take care of yourself first to be able to take care of your kids. So I had to learn that, and that's a big thing that a lot of moms struggle with.
Sure.
So next question, Britt. I know you, but I want you to share a little bit more about your experiences as a mom, just kind of in this vein, like you've talked about, oh, I am a business owner. I lead these organizations. I do all these things, and I have 5 kids, or children. So how do you manage it all? And if there's any particular experience you feel comfortable sharing with us that would kind of help in this space of what we're talking about, you can share that as well.
Okay. So honestly, first and foremost, I'm like, God, help me with this. Help me be strategic, because if I try to do this in my own will, I would not be successful at anything. Sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, how did I accomplish this? So I think the biggest thing is I had to change my own perspective about what my roles look like, right? So what my roles as a wife look like, what my roles as a business owner look like, what my roles as a therapist. And in some ways, although like most therapists will say, don't compartmentalize everything, I had to compartmentalize a lot of things in order to get through. And I had to be strategic about the way that I schedule things in my own life so that I can accomplish what I need. First and foremost, I always say, like, I have to be good first, because if I'm not good, everything else falls apart. But if I'm okay, then my children are okay. If I'm okay, then my husband is okay. Like, I can be a better mom, then a better wife, then a better therapist, and a better business owner. And so I would say the same thing to other moms. If you're a believer, one, partner with God and ask God, like, how do I do this? How do I be strategic? And when I'm not as successful as I would like to be, how do I have grace on myself, right? So there are times where I felt like I'm not giving enough attention to my kids' school, or, their sports, or maybe I'm not sitting down and reading enough. I'll tell you, with my first son, I read every day, like from the time he was born. I had a book, and I would read a book every day to him, to the point where I want to say by the time he was 3 months, I was reading 4 books a day, right? And I had this expectation that I have to do the same thing with my other children. And it just didn't work out that way. I was entirely too, it was a lot of work. And so I had to learn to have grace and to be able to do like what I can to the best ability that I can. And when I couldn't meet certain deadlines or my own expectations, like, everything is still going to be okay. They're breathing, they're healthy, I'm breathing, I'm healthy, and we're good. I will tell you that related to postpartum, with my first son and my last son, I went through postpartum depression myself. With my first son, I was unaware. When I tried to reach out and ask for help, or even ask my own mom, like, did you go through this? I kept hearing like, no, girl. And none of my friends had kids. So I was the only one who had experienced pregnancy and who had this baby. And so I didn't know where to go, and I didn't know who to ask for help. So I started to internalize everything, and which in turn made me go into this cycle of trying to be perfect, right? So that's why I was reading to my son every day. That's why I was trying to teach as a newborn. I'm trying to teach him colors. Like, look, this is this color. This, because I'm like, okay, I just got to teach him. I got to make sure I'm teaching him. I was stressing out like every night. I'm washing him up. I'm giving him a bath, and in the morning I'm going to wash him up. I was stressed about just being this perfect mom that was almost impossible to be. And so I didn't have support. And so with any of my friends that had children or who came to me about their own experiences, I wanted to make sure I was that support. And I didn't realize I had actually gone through postpartum depression until I was in graduate school. And so by the time I started graduate school, I already had another baby. So this is me going, 2-3 years of not knowing what was going on with me. With my youngest son, I knew immediately what I was going through as far as like it being postpartum depression. And so as soon as I had him, I did seek therapy. I actually sought therapy while I was pregnant with him. I didn't think that the therapist was a good fit. And so the entire time I was in those 2 or 3 sessions I did with her, I'm analyzing her from a therapist's point of view, right? So that didn't work that well for me. And then the second person I decided to go to, she happens to be a pastor, but she's also a licensed psychologist here in Nevada. And so she's now my mentor. I went to her for therapy, and it was the best journey of my life. So, yeah.
That's amazing.
That really is. Like, I love that, as a therapist, not only do you have the book knowledge, but you also have the experience, relatable experience that just helps you to connect with people on an even deeper level. So that's amazing. And I like that you gave us practical steps, not just big picture, be balanced. But very practical steps to take. So I like that. With that, what do you say to a mom who is potentially experiencing postpartum depression, who doesn't have a working definition or a clue that she's experiencing these specific symptoms? So what would you say if you kind of saw someone that's like, I think?
So I just saw someone recently, right, who had a baby. The baby's about 8 weeks old. And she just doesn't seem like herself. She's an extremely bubbly person, right? And so when I saw her, she still has her personality, but it's like toned down. And she's normally on 10 and she was on 5. And so I was asking her, I said, how do you feel? She's like, oh, I'm not experiencing any postpartum depression whatsoever. But I saw all the signs and symptoms, not as a therapist, but as a person who's been there, And I said, well, sometimes as moms, we don't get things perfect, right? We don't get it 100% right. Just know that you're doing your best with what you're equipped with right now. And as you practice, right? Because we think that being a mom is an automatic thing, but it's a daily practice for the rest of that child's life, right? Even when they're grown and 70 years old themselves, like you're still practicing on how to be a better mom. And so that's the best knowledge, is letting people know, like, you're in a daily practice. And how do you become perfect? Well, you don't really become perfect, but how do you get better at something? You keep practicing. And so even if, like, I just let her know, like, even if you're not getting it the way you want, just keep practicing, try again, set a different goal for the next day. And I think something resonated with her. And I just let her know, like, you can give me a call. I'm here for you. If you just want to talk, if you just want, to bring the baby by and sit, because you don't want to drop the baby off because you're not comfortable. But if you just want to come by and sit, just know that I'm here for you in whatever capacity you need. So Just not, don't make them feel alone. Don't make them feel like it's just them. Just let them know you're available, and that they're practicing being a better mom every day.
So it's like you encourage them, but as a social worker, as a therapist, you open the door of opportunity. If you want to talk to me more, you can. That's good.
Yes.
That's
I
good.
like that because she didn't even use the word grace, but she literally showed gave him an example of this is what grace is. You're not going to be perfect. It's a daily exercise. She didn't have to say the word. And so for a lot of us, we're like, okay, yeah, grace, that sounds great. I hear it all the time at church. Grace, grace, grace. But literally, it's okay. And the way she said it, I want her voice to be like my lifetime sounds.
That's funny. That's good. And Brittany's so sweet, y'all. She is the sweetest thing ever. So I'm not surprised by how sweet her response was. So our last question for you: how can therapy improve women's experiences as mothers?
Well, one, you have to find the right therapist, right? Two, if you're seeking therapy for postpartum and or even depression during pregnancy, I think it's important to find a therapist who has experience being a mom as well, because it's great getting book knowledge. It's different when you experience it, right? And so I think that aspect is going to be very important in your therapy journey. And so once you start that journey, it will help you, again, put things into perspective. It will help you to feel better about yourself. You'll have more grace for yourself. And it will help you identify like what type of mom you want to be and what motherhood style works for you.
I like that motherhood style. We got to use that, Shelly.
Yes, we do. I like that. That was so good. Like, I listen to so many people talk about what therapy is for them. But when you talk about what therapy is for you as a mom or anyone in a specific season of their life, it's like, I don't feel comfortable talking to anyone that hasn't been through this journey. It's so different. You can have all the certification you want, but if you know exactly, you can feel what I feel, I'm more prone to open up to you. And I felt like that covered a lot of the questions when we talked about stigma and things like that. How do you break the stigma? I mean, you talk to someone who maybe looks like you, who's had experiences like you, and like that's everything, because it doesn't feel like you're going to someone to unpack all your life's burdens. It feels like you're sitting there talking to a friend, a friend with some degrees that know what they're talking about.
With some degrees.
It's so funny when you said like you can feel. So like if you find someone who's been through it, you can feel what they feel. It resonated with me. I recently, my mentor just said that to me. I said, well, why am I able to feel what's going on with people sometimes? And she said, that's exactly why. When you can feel it, it gives you the ability to press in more. And so you touched right on it. Like as a therapist, when I can feel what's going on, I know where to keep pressing and keep helping them to break down those barriers that has been put up in their life.
That's good. And this is so good for me, Shelly. Like those who don't know, I'm a life coach, and I've been working on building a program for new moms. And a lot of the material that Brittany covered today just kind of Reignited.
Yeah, that's a good one right there. We're always talking about like we still have this mom brain. What's the word, girl? What's the word?
I still have it now, and it's horrible. I'm in the middle of a session, like, help me, that word.
Webster right here with me right now.
Yes.
Reignite, or just kind of like help you remember, like, this is why I'm doing it.
Yes.
This is why it matters.
Yes.
Recommitting, everything.
Yes, everything. And just like confirms, like to hear from a therapist and a mom of 5 to say that the things that we were speaking about, the path that we were speaking about taking moms through to get to that place of grace and love, like this is what Brittany covered today. So this was good, Britt.
Thank you. Thank you both for having me.
And thank you so much for spending your time, for taking time out, because like she said, y'all, she has 5 kids. You matter to her. Y'all matter. The listeners, you matter because she took time out of her day.
Yes.
So we so appreciate it. We're going to continue to have episodes that encourage women to advocate for themselves. So, you know, Britt, you might hear from us again. We might be like, what's the word we looking for, Britt? She gonna help us find the right vocabulary to make sure we hit and listen to and you know, hit every topic that women want to talk about, want to hear about. So again, this was episode 8 of Sister Moms. We look forward to you all joining us again for episode 9 next week. As always, please subscribe and share.